Last thing we'll look at is activity-based costing in a service. So activity-based costing, we're using multiple overhead rates to allocate overhead rather than a single rate. So remember before we calculated that $5 per direct labor hour rate? Well, at ABC, there would be multiple overhead rates. So it would be, you would use direct labor hours, machine hours, you'd use multiple rates. And then you put the cost in what's called a cost pool, which has its own rate. So let's look at Hopewell Hospital and look at the different cost pools. So we have a cost pool for admission. So we say it's $180 per admission. We have radiological testing, $320 per image. Operating room, pathological testing, dietary and laundry. So we have all these 5 different cost pools, and then we have a rate for each. So that's how we allocate the admission, the radiological testing, operating room. That's how we allocate these costs per patient with a different rate for each cost pool. So under our traditional system we looked at before, there would be one rate to allocate all this stuff to the patient. With activity-based costing, there's 5 different rates. So say we want to allocate some overhead to this patient using the activity-based costing system we saw in the previous slide. So if we look at the 5 different activities, row 5 through 9 in the spreadsheet, and then the usage is in column B, B5 through B9, 1 admission, 2 images, and so on. So we have activity rates that we saw for each on the previous slide. So if we multiply the usage by the activity rate, we get an activity cost. We add all those up. So total overhead using activity-based costing for patient Mia Wilson was $2,790. So if we look at a profitability report, if we go to the right and look at Mia Wilson, who we just looked at, so revenue for her into the hospital was $3,300. We add up all the costs, so our total patient cost for Mia was $2,990. So our income for Mia was $310. So you can see a person like Brian Barini, we lost $4,000. So what this does is it gives us insight to figure out why.